Let's see if it's going to work here, if the internet's good enough. Okay. Right. It's 2:30. We start right on time. Have a seat. Get a cushion. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Guru. So what we're going to do, I was just going through my computer yesterday, or my phone actually, and I had done 4 classes on Vamanadev about a week and a half ago. And I noticed the last class was only a few minutes, so it didn't get recorded. So I wanted to complete the series, and I thought, we'll just continue. And I don't know if all of you have heard it, but we were reading from the Bhagavatam, I think 2 or 3 chapters on parents of Vamanadev, and I was making some comments, some discussion. So I wanted to read some more and discuss, and then that would finish the series. Hopefully there's only about 17 shlokas, so we can read and discuss. So just to give you a little summary of what's happening is Vamanadev came to trick Bali Maharaj, but actually to glorify him. And he was going to come and steal everything by getting Bali Maharaj to agree to give him 3 steps of land. And with 1 step he would cover the planet, the next step he would cover the universe. And so that was everything that Bali could give. And so then Vamanadev said, you promised 3 steps, you only gave me 2, so I have to arrest you for not keeping your promise. And he said, where will I take my 3rd step? He said, you can step on my head. So anyway, Bali Maharaj gave everything to Vamanadev, and Sukracharya, his spiritual master, told him not to give everything. He said, you shouldn't keep your promise, because if you do, Vamanadev is going to take everything away from you. You know, what's so interesting about this story is that Sukracharya is trying to convince Bali Maharaj not to give everything, and Bali Maharaj is intent on giving everything. He wants to give everything. Even his own spiritual master can't stop him from giving everything. Of course, his spiritual master was concerned. If Bali Maharaj had nothing, then he would also have nothing. And how would he be maintained? And so he tried to convince him not to give, and Bali Maharaj was dead set on giving. That's what he wanted to do. And it's interesting because he knew, Sukracharya was telling him, you're going to lose everything. It's also interesting that Sukracharya could see what was going to go on, but he didn't see that Vamanadev would give Bali Maharaj more than everything back. He didn't know that. So anyway, here you have Sukracharya telling his disciple Bali Maharaj, don't give everything, and Bali Maharaj saying, I want to give everything. And so this conversation ensues in which Sukracharya is trying to convince him, don't give everything, and Bali Maharaj is intent on giving everything. And so I was reading this yesterday, and I was thinking it's quite interesting because so many people, they don't want to give everything to God. They want to ask Him for something. They want Him to give them things, right? And here you have Bali Maharaj intent on giving everything, knowing that he'll have nothing left, but that's what he wants to do. So that's so nice, isn't it? That's how a devotee feels. I just want to give everything to Krishna. Even if I have nothing left, I just want to give everything to Krishna. And nothing could stop Bali Maharaj from giving. And so that's what he did. And he was very happy, and he had many, many good reasons, which you can listen to in the class before this. We'll put it up online sooner or later. It'll be the Vamana Leela in 4 parts. And so anyway, it's just so nice to meditate on how Bali wanted to give everything, just from his heart. And his spiritual master, so-called spiritual master, couldn't stop him, even though his spiritual master was telling him, don't. He kept insisting that I must give everything. So, isn't that a nice example, don't you think? For all of us? Some people ask God, give me this, give me that, and we insist on giving everything, even if we know there'll be nothing left. Wow, amazing. Okay, so I'm going to read a few verses back from where we left off last class, and then we'll continue reading the verses we haven't read yet. So Sukadeva Goswami said, even after being cursed in this way, which means his spiritual master cursed him, he said you're going to lose everything, then his spiritual master curses him to lose everything, which is, I guess Sukracharya was pretty mad that he had to curse him to lose everything, even when he already knew he was going to lose everything. So he cursed him in this way. Bali Maharaj, being a great personality, never deviated from his determination. So even his spiritual masters cursing him for not following him, he's not going to give up his desire to give everything to Vamanadev. Therefore, according to custom, he first offered water to Vamanadev and then offered him the gift of land he had promised. Here, take it. 3 steps is yours. Go for it. I give it to you, I promise. It's yours. Bali Maharaj's wife, known as Vindhyavali, who was decorated with a necklace of pearls, immediately came and had a large water pot full of water with which to worship the Lord's lotus feet. Okay? Bali Maharaj, the worshipper of Lord Vamanadev, jubilantly washed the Lord's lotus feet, then took the water on his head, for that water delivers the entire universe. At that time, the residents of the higher planetary systems, known as the demigods, the Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Siddhas, and the Charanas, all being very pleased by Bali Maharaj's simple, non-duplicitous act, praised his qualities and showered upon him millions of flowers. Have you ever seen millions of flowers? Well, you can imagine, that's a lot of flowers. Imagine millions of flowers falling from the sky. It says here, Bali Maharaj was non-duplicitous. That means he said he was going to give, and his spiritual master said, don't give. And he said, no, I'm giving. I made a promise, that's it. Right? So, Prabhupada says a Vaishnava should have Brahminical qualities like Satyam. Satya is truthfulness. There cannot be any duplicity in the character of a Vaishnava. When Bali Maharaj acted with unflinching faith and devotion unto the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, this was very much appreciated by the residents of the higher planets. So in other words, the point is that he had promised he's going to give. So I'm going to give, and he made the promise, and his spiritual master said, you're going to lose everything, and he said, that's okay, I'm giving. I've given my word. So that's Satyam, truthfulness, or being without duplicitousness. So that's a Brahminical quality. Also, duplicity refers to internally or in private life not being the same as in public life. So in public life you look pure, in private life you're not pure. So what goes on at home goes on outside. That's being integrated. The Gandharvas, the Kimpurushas, and the Kinnaras sounded thousands and thousands of kettle drums and trumpets again and again. And they sang in great jubilation, declaring, how exalted a person is Bali Maharaj, and what a difficult task he has performed. Even though he knew that Lord Vishnu was on the side of his enemies, he nonetheless gave the Lord the entire world in charity. Actually, we may have read this. Maybe there actually wasn't a 4, and the 4 was the last part of 3. Anyway, I didn't read all the purports, so maybe we'll read some purports and discuss. The unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of Vamana, then began increasing in size, acting in terms of the material energy, until everything in the universe was within his body, including the earth, the planetary systems, the sky, the directions, the various holes in the universe, the seas, the oceans, the birds, beasts, human beings, the demigods, and the great saintly persons. So, Prabhupada says here, Bali Maharaj wanted to give everything, so Krishna very kindly reciprocated by taking everything. Here, it's all yours, take it. Actually, no one can give anything to Krishna, for he's full in everything. Sometimes we see a devotee offering Ganges water to the Ganges. Seems kind of funny, right? You take water from the Ganges and you offer it back. So you can't really offer water to the Ganges, plus it's her own water. So what's the point? The point is, it's an offering. And you don't have, that's what you offer, that's what she wants. And you give what you can give. It's not calculated on how much it is, but it's what you can give. So that's what you give, that's what you give. If one offers whatever he has in his possession, he becomes a recognized devotee. In this regard, the example is given that when one's face is decorated with a garland and sandalwood pulp, the reflection of one's face in the mirror automatically becomes beautiful. The original source of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is our original source also. Therefore, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is decorated, the devotees and all living entities are decorated automatically. When you give everything to Krishna, ultimately you get everything. Could you hand me that chatter? As we'll see later in the story, Bali Maharaj got everything by giving everything. So, generally you think you give everything. If you give everything, you lose everything. Well, when you give everything to Krishna, you get everything. Right? See, I just got a chatter. I give everything. You never have to worry. Give everything, you get everything. You only have to worry that you don't give everything. Then you won't get everything. At least that's what we learn from this story. Bali Maharaj, along with all the priests, acharyas, and members of the assembly, observed the Supreme Personality of Godhead's universal body, which was full of 6 opulences. The body contained everything within the universe, including all the gross material elements, the senses, the sense objects, the mind, intelligence, and false ego, the various kinds of living entities, and the actions and reactions of the 3 modes of material nature. So he covered the universe. Everything is within Krishna. Krishna's outside of everything, but everything is his energy. That's the idea. So, anyway, as we all know, Krishna is everything, and he can do everything, and he wants to contain the whole universe in his body. Why not? It's just what he does. He does what he does. There's this, this idea that things happen by God's sweet will. So sweet will means whatever he feels like doing, then he does it. That's what it means. So by his sweet will, he does what he does. So, the universe is in his body. That's fine. Yes. Matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshva bhashtita. That's from Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, text 4. I'm sure you all know that verse, right? Don't you? Matstani sarvabhutani. Everything is in me, but I am not in them. That's what it means. All living entities are in me, but I'm not. In other words, everything's in me in this universal sense, but I'm aloof as a person. Text 23, thereafter, Bali Maharaj, who was occupying the seat of King Indra, could see the lower planetary systems, such as Rasatala, on the soles of the feet of Lord Vishnu's universal form. He saw on the Lord's feet the surface of the globe, on the surface of his calves all the mountains, on his knees the various birds, and on his thighs the varieties of air. So he's seeing the whole universe on the gigantic body of Vamanadev. Amazing. Krishna can do that if he wants. Bali Maharaj saw beneath the garments of the Lord, who acts wonderfully, the evening twilight. In the Lord's private parts, he saw the Prajapatis, and in the round portion of the waist, he saw himself with his confidential associates. In the Lord's navel, he saw the sky. On the Lord's waist, he saw the 7 oceans. And on the Lord's bosom, he saw all the clusters of stars. It's another universal form, Vamanadev. Want to hear what else he saw? My dear king, on the heart of Lord Murari, he saw religion. On the chest, both pleasing words and truthfulness. In the mind, the moon. On the bosom, the goddess of fortune, with the lotus flower in her hand. On the neck, all the Vedas and all sound vibrations. On the arms, all the demigods, headed by King Indra. In both ears, all the directions. On the head, the upper planetary systems. On the hair, the clouds. In the nostrils, the wind. On the eyes, the sun. In the mouth, fire. From his words came all Vedic mantras. On his tongue was a demigod of water, Varunadev. On his eyebrows were the regulative principles. And on his eyelids were day and night. When his eyes were open, it was daytime, and when closed, it was night. On his forehead was anger. On his lips was greed. O king, in his touch were lusty desires. In his semen were all the waters. And he's thinking, well, does Krishna have lusty desires? No, but he creates lusty desire. So it comes from him.